Look at your dog right now. That thing curled up on your couch, begging for food it doesn't need, afraid of the vacuum cleaner. It is a wolf. A modified, reshaped, domesticated wolf. But here's what nobody tells you. We didn't tame it. We didn't capture wolf pups and breed them into something friendlier. We didn't plan any of it. The dog came to us. And the reason it did has everything to do with one of the worst habits humans have ever had. This is how it actually happened. 15,000 years ago. No cities, no farms. A group of maybe 30 people moving across the landscape, eating everything they could find, and leaving behind everything they couldn't. Cracked bones, rotting scraps, offal. A pile of human garbage sitting in one place, reeking for miles. Before humans, nothing like this existed. No animal in history had ever produced a concentrated, reliable source of calories just sitting on the ground, unguarded, free for the taking. And wolves noticed. Now, here is where most people get the story wrong. They imagine a brave human walking toward a snarling wolf and slowly gaining its trust. That is not what happened. The wolf came to the garbage. At first, far away, just close enough to smell it, then darting off. The boldest wolves crept closer. The skittish ones ran at the first sound of a human. And here's the thing about being less afraid of humans. It paid. The wolves that tolerated humans got more food. They survived better. They reproduced more. Their pups inherited that same slightly lower fear threshold. Generation after generation, the wolves that were just a little calmer around people ate better, lived longer, and had more offspring than the ones who fled. Nobody chose this. Nobody planned it. The wolves domesticated themselves. And then something happened that nobody expected. As these wolves got calmer, something else changed too. Their faces. A Russian scientist named Dmitry Belyaev figured out what was happening almost by accident in 1959. He was breeding silver foxes in Siberia, selecting only for one trait: willingness to approach a human hand without biting it. That was the only rule. Each generation, he kept only the tamest foxes. Within 10 generations, something bizarre happened. The foxes started looking different. Their ears went floppy. Their tails started curling up. Their coats turned patchy, spotted, multicolored. Their skulls got rounder. Their snouts got shorter. Their eyes got bigger. He hadn't selected for any of that. He'd only selected for tameness. But tameness came packaged with all of it. Because the biological switch that controls fear and aggression in animals, the stress hormone system, the adrenal glands, is connected to the same developmental pathway that shapes the face, the ears, the coat color. When you breed for calm, you accidentally breed for cute. This is called neoteny, keeping juvenile features into adulthood. And it works the same way in dogs. Every floppy-eared, big-eyed, soft-faced dog you have ever seen is carrying the biological signature of an animal that learned to be less afraid. Belyaev's experiment is still running. 65 years later, in the same Siberian facility, the foxes approach strangers unprompted. They wag their tails. They climb into laps. Nobody taught them that. It came with the calm. But the story doesn't stop there, because dogs didn't just become calmer. They became something no other animal on Earth had ever become. They learned to read us. In 2002, researchers at the Max Planck Institute in Germany ran a simple test. They hid food under one of two buckets. Then a human pointed at the right one. Chimpanzees, our closest genetic relatives, animals with whom we share 98% of our DNA, failed the test completely. They didn't follow the point. They looked at the hand. They looked at the face. They looked at anything except where the finger was aimed. Dogs got it right almost every time. Even puppies who had never been trained followed the point. Dogs understand human gesture better than any other animal alive, including the animals that share almost all of our genes. They didn't learn this. They evolved it. Because for 15,000 years, the wolves that understood what humans were trying to communicate got rewarded. They got fed. They got protected. They survived. and the ones who didn't were on their own. And then humans noticed something important. This animal at the edge of camp wasn't just eating scraps. It was barking when strangers came close. It was chasing off the animals that stole from the food stores. It was following hunters and flushing game out of the undergrowth. At some point, and no one knows exactly when, the relationship changed direction. It stopped being wolf tolerates human garbage. It became wolf and human are more useful together than apart. And humans started doing something deliberate for the first time. They started choosing, keeping the dogs that were best at hunting, keeping the ones that guarded best, keeping the ones that pulled sleds, herded sheep, found the wounded, dragged the nets. In thousands of years, by selecting for task after task, humans took one animal and splintered it into something extraordinary. The same species became the greyhound and the bulldog, the Saint Bernard and the Chihuahua, the border collie running circles around 1,000 sheep, and the pug that cannot breathe properly and needs its face surgically corrected to survive. We made all of them, from wolves, by accident first, and then very much on purpose. Here is how fast that happened. In the last 200 years alone, after kennel clubs started keeping records, humans created more distinct breeds than in the previous 14,000 years combined. We didn't slow down, we accelerated. But here is the part that should change how you think about your own dog. It isn't just that dogs evolved to tolerate us, they evolved to need us. A wolf without a pack can survive. It is hard, but it can do it. Most domestic dogs cannot. Their stress hormones spike when left alone. Their behavior falls apart. They stop eating. They destroy things. They cry. We didn't just change what they look like. We rewired their emotional architecture. We built a dependency into them at the biological level. And here is the uncomfortable mirror that holds up. They did the same to us. Studies show that looking into a dog's eyes triggers the same hormonal response in humans as looking at an infant. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, the same chemical that makes a mother love her child, floods your system when a dog looks at you. Dogs didn't just evolve to read our gestures. They evolved to hijack our deepest attachment systems. And we let them. We welcomed it. We bred them harder for it. For 15,000 years, the dogs that made humans feel something got fed, sheltered, and protected. The ones that didn't were left behind. We shaped them. They shaped us. And neither side fully understood what was happening. So the next time your dog does something ridiculous, pushes its nose into your hand, stares at you from across the room, loses its mind because you were gone for 20 minutes, understand what you're actually seeing. You are watching the outcome of 15,000 years of the most successful biological negotiation in the history of the planet. An animal that was once a predator decided that the scraps at the edge of your fire were worth being near you for. And at some point, you decided it was worth feeding. Nobody planned it. Nobody signed a contract. But somewhere between the wolf at the garbage pile and the dog on your couch, something happened that had never happened before in the history of life on Earth. Two species became necessary to each other. Not because one conquered the other, because one day a wolf was just a little less afraid, and you threw it a bone.